Hey guys, today I'm excited to talk to you about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Listen, I was at the premiere last night. I have now seen this film, and I've got to preface this by saying that the Indiana Jones movies are some of my favorite films, one of my favorite franchises. The first three. We don't really talk about the fourth one. That was way too off the wall, jump the shark. I don't know what, but let me tell you, Dial of Destiny is a step back in the right direction. This movie very much feels like classic Indiana Jones. There's a scene where, all of a sudden the theme kicks in and you see like a plane going across the map and you're like, yeah, this is Indiana Jones. This is what I wanted. This is Indiana Jones. Now, right from the start, I was hooked. I was in it. I love the story. I love Indiana Jones, okay? So this was very much classic Indiana Jones. Seeing Harrison Ford, the CGI de-aging technology, whatever you want to call it, that they used, looked really, really good. Almost flawless. Like, it looks like a younger Harrison Ford, which we've got glimpses of in the trailer, but really watching it in like a full-on scene, it works. Now, there's one little issue with it, and that is that they use his current voice. So it takes like a couple of seconds for you to like, okay, I'm just gonna imagine that like he had this voice when he was younger. You can tell it's an older voice, but you get over it fairly quickly. It's not something that like you're thinking about every single time we see a younger Harrison Ford. So don't worry about that, which isn't that often considering it's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. A lot of it is spent in the quote unquote present, with the actual Indiana Jones right now, right? The timely in the present Indiana Jones. So here's the thing. This movie, like I said, very Indiana Jones, feels Indiana Jones. It feels like, the chases and the things that are going on. Of course, Nazis are back because that's what Indiana Jones loves, to kill Nazis. So why not bring the Nazis back? And speaking of, Mads Mikkelsen is so good in this movie. He's phenomenal. He's just so great at playing a bad guy, right? That's like, he's just so good at everything he does. He's good at playing a good guy too, but he's really one of the standouts in this movie, which you talk about going up against Harrison Ford. It's kind of difficult, right? But the two of them on screen are great. They have some really awesome moments that I really, really enjoyed. Now, there's hate to say this, guys, this movie's a little too long, okay? It's 2 hours and 24 minutes or something like that. It could have been a clean, tight 2 hours. Probably could have been an hour 50 if they really wanted to push it. They could have cleaned some stuff up. There's a lot of great fight and chase scenes, like I said. Some of them maybe go on a little too long, right? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not entertained. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, because I did. But they definitely could have cleaned it up, because you do start to feel the runtime, especially like the first act feels a little bit too long. There's like a little bit too much of a setup, okay, that they didn't need to do. And then there's something that happens in the third act. This is spoilery, so I'm keeping everything spoiler free, so it's very hard to discuss. But there's something that happens in the third act that they just didn't need to go there. Could have alluded to it and we would have been good. Would have saved us 10 minutes right there, okay? So stuff like that, like you're just like, again, I was entertained, don't get me wrong, but it felt long. I was like, oh, it's not like with Guardians of the Galaxy where the runtime, I never felt it. You know what I mean? This was like oh man, all right, I'm getting a little sleepy. Like we need to like hustle things up. But anytime I was starting to really be like, okay, all right, they would jump to something else and fix itself. It could have been 20-25 minutes shorter and would have been better for it, honestly, I think. But the story, the lore, it's very Indiana Jones. There's a lot of cheesy dialogue that's very Indiana Jones, a lot of one-liners, a lot of stuff that, like I said, this is Indiana Jones, right? He's always like out on a treasure hunt, he's doing something, there's cheesy stuff going on, and that is what we get here. This is classic Indiana Jones, and I think people who love Indiana Jones are going to be happy to be back in this. It feels very much more on par with the first, on par, but not as good, but you know what I mean, on par like lore-wise and events-wise as the first three, okay? Now there's this kid in here, which I found to be hilarious. I really enjoyed him. And then I thought he was great. He was really, really good. And then, of course, Phoebe Waller-Bridge was so good as well. She's fantastic. I love her interactions with Indy. Like, they had a great dynamic. Takes a little bit to find it. One of my issues with Act 1 is between the two of them. I don't want to say too much more, but you'll know when you see the movie. But it does find itself, it does settle itself in. And then I was like, okay, all right, now I'm really, really in. Like, once the second act really starts to move along, that's when I was like all in. And the third act, like I said, I really enjoyed it. There's one thing they didn't have to do, but like I'm not mad that they did it. I just feel like that could have been something they could have cut to save some time. It wasn't necessary, but hey, I had fun with it, so I'm not going to complain. And then we have the ending, which obviously I'm not going to spoil, but I'm just going to tell you that this felt like the perfect ending for Indy. Everyone who loves Indy, it's like, it just really kind of wrapped stuff up well. I was a big fan. I teared up a little bit, like there was stuff going down, and it just worked for me. Okay, do they reference the other movies? Yes, they reference all four, unfortunately, of the other movies. They do. They reference them. Do you need to have seen them? I mean, I guess no. But like, also, why are you watching the fifth Indiana Jones if you're not a fan? I'm not sure. If you're doing a rewatch, I mean, if you've seen the fourth one, you can always just skip right over it. It's really not necessary. I always say it's not necessary watching because that one was a struggle. But this one is really, really good. It does stuff like, it's crazy, it's cheesy, but there's some great, I mean, it's they bring people back, they bring things in, like lots of Easter eggs, they weave things in from the first four, unfortunately, films, but it just makes it feel like you're excited. It's franchise. There's a little bit of fan service, but not too much fan service, just enough to like reward those who have been fans for years since it started. So I loved it. I mean, I think Harrison Ford was fantastic. That man is so good. He's just so good at what he does. And like I said, the theme kicks in and it gives you chills, and I'm gritting from ear to ear, tearing up a little bit, and I just had a lot of fun. It's too long. There's some wonky stuff in the first act. There's some wonky stuff in the third act. The voice doesn't match the face, but again, that settles in real quick when he's a younger Harrison Ford, of course, or younger Indiana Jones, I should say. But it settles in and you kind of forget about it. So I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I think people who are fans of the franchise are really, really going to dig this one. I know I did. Listen, I give this a 3 out of 5. I had a blast with it. I'm excited to take my family and go see it again in theaters. I'm absolutely going to be doing that because I had that much fun with it. Very excited to see it a second time, see how it plays out. But my biggest issue is that I did feel the length. There were definitely some moments it could have been trimmed up, but this just feels like we're back to classic Indiana Jones, and I absolutely loved that aspect of it. I love seeing Harrison Ford in this role, and I'm just very, very glad that I got to see it on the big screen. I definitely recommend seeing it on the big screen. It's action, it's adventure, and it's Indiana Jones, you guys, and it's so much fun. You guys let me know what you thought about this movie if you've already seen it down below in the comments. If not, let me know if you plan to see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny in theaters. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Follow me over on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and check me out at mamasgeeky.com. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.